In 1992-93, I was head of department, the Department of Languages at the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, in Nigeria. And we were facing a very serious lack of books and manuals, especially to teach beginners French. And so one day I decided to explore myself what was available in the market, local market, because we didn't have access to the internet because there was power cuts here and there in the day, and electricity supply was very limited. And so we couldn't dream of anything on the internet. We couldn't tell the students. And the books and manuals in the local library, that is the departmental library, were few and far between. We were struggling. I was trying to help by elaborating a system to acquire books, because the university was without money. The dictator of the time, the head of the country thought that universities were not really important. And so I went to the market and tried to find a manual for beginners French, and there was none. So the last resort was to take what we had in the departmental library. That was a book, a series that was called France-Afrique, that was created by a Frenchman that was living in Nigeria at the time, Jean de Grandsaigne, that was a lecturer himself. And his book was really first choice. Everybody liked that book in secondary school, and we wanted to use the same for university beginners. And so I went with a copy of the book to the central library, and they had a big photocopier. The photocopier was just like a gigantic table. It was very, very, very huge. And I left the book with the person in charge and said, please, could you photocopy this to me and for my department? And I gave a number of copies that I needed. And then I left and went to other duties. Came back some 2 hours after that, and they said, oh, they finished. And I was looking at the pile of photocopies. The one that had just been made was good, but the ones at the bottom of the pile were faint. The ink was faint. And as I took it out, it started disappearing. Magic ink. So I called them and said, there's something wrong. Which there was no need to state the obvious. And they said, well, here in the UK, you would have heard the person say, I'm afraid. In Nigeria, we are not afraid. So the person said, well, actually, we have experienced a problem with that. It looks like the ink is adulterated. So there is nothing we can do. So I took that pile back to the department, and it proved completely useless because the ink soon faded on the sun. And you know what happened? Yeah, it was that there was no real ink in the toner. So somebody local had concocted a kind of ink, made toners or refilled toners with that, and sold happily. Got the money, but the customers never got the real thing. Yeah. So it was difficult. And the same goes with all kinds. One day, one of the girls in the house was bitten by a rabid dog. because those days there were lots of them. And our own puppy was bitten and died within 4 days of rabies. So we knew it was very urgent. And so I went to the market because there was no pharmacy those days on campus. And in fact, in town, there was no pharmacy. So anything you want to buy is from market. So I went to the market, to a patent medicine store, and said I need urgently an anti-rabies vaccine. And the person told me, well, there are two. One is from abroad and is expired, but it's still there. I have it. The other one is local, but it's a different kind. You have to inject quite a number of injections in the tummy. And I forgot which one I bought. This was a life and death decision. But eventually, the girl was injected and she recovered. And you know what? If you don't believe in God, you'll be stuck. And you might die in such circumstances.